Chris, all right, we are live on Facebook.
Well, good morning, everyone. I guess we'll begin. I am John Rutenberg, and I'm today's MC. Next slide, please. So we're sponsored by the Kaufman Foundation, who created a phenomenal network of chapters across America promoting entrepreneurship, allowing people to learn, take risks, and succeed. Next slide, please. We are national and local in scope. Our mission, as I mentioned, is to help entrepreneurs. Today, we're lucky to have Chris Shrum, who's welcome and willing to come back and update us. And that's part of our goal, is to have presenters come back a couple of months later and tell us what's up. So our key pillars are: we make presentations, not pitches. Authentic connections, it's really great. For those who are coming for maybe the third or eighth or 11th time, there are people in the room who've been here almost every week for years already, and that's what makes authentic connections and the flow of business much easier. We're run for our community and by folks in this room and in the community. And last, and I really enjoy this bullet, radically and intentionally inclusive, more critical than ever. Visitors in the room, who's a new person? If you're a new person, please raise your hand and introduce yourself. I'm looking around. Anyone who's not been here before?
Yes, I don't know if you can see me, but yes, this is Sabla Rajani.
Good
Today is
morning.
my first time. Good morning.
Please tell us how you learned about us and a sentence on what you do for a business.
Well, I heard about you from John and Farah, and I was a business owner. I am a business owner supporting a government contractor and also worked with the private industry. And now I'm pivoting to do independent consultant and just do it by myself. And I was expressing that to John and actually asking him to help me with my LinkedIn and so on. And he suggested 1MillionCups, and here I am, and I'm very grateful to be with you guys.
And we're grateful to have you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Next slide. So take a moment, please. Put your phone up and grab the QR code that records your attendance. That gets us credit with national. They think we're active. We're the best chapter in America. And we have to demonstrate it by hitting that QR code. Also,
Sure.
our goal as organizers to have 30 people in the room. We're up to 15 today. Well, a couple of more people will come, but if you look closely at that slide, you'll see we're in and around 20. So our responsibilities as individuals is to invite someone to next week. Think how powerful that is. 15 times 2 equals 30. Can we do it? Next slide, please. We have great organizers and ambassadors. They make every Wednesday happen. Perhaps you'd like to help. We need help. You're welcome to join, and thank you to our volunteers who make 1MillionCups special. Next slide, please. We have two hosts. George Mason hosts our monthly in-person first of the Wednesday of the month every month. And Shine, and Maria's not here. So Jen, would you like to do George Mason? You can do both probably, but you could do George Mason quickly. Yeah.
I would be happy to. So Mason Enterprise Center Fairfax is just off of 66. It is a business incubator, has several hundred members. Some are virtual, some have office space there. We meet there the first Wednesday of every month in their training room, which can hold about 50 to 60 people. So very excited to partner with them. One thing that's unique about the Mason Enterprise Center in Fairfax is that they have over 18 mentors dedicated for free to help people who are members and clients there grow and scale their business. So if you're interested in growing your community, having a place to touch down and meet with clients, boardrooms, training rooms, etc., do reach out. You can check out their website, mec-fairfax.org. I'll put that in chat. As far as Shine Interior Design, Maria just joined, and hopefully it won't be too hard of a transition as she connects to her audio to share what makes Shine Interior Design amazing. And I will be happy to keep chatting while we're waiting for her to connect. What I do know about Maria that's amazing, one, she's an organizer, but two, Shine Interior Design, she really works with residential and commercial clients to do interior design. She also is a certified architectural interior design, something like that, which is amazing because that means when it comes to looking at architecture, floor plans, engineering plans, she can take all of that into account when it comes to delivering interior design projects for our clients. So she's amazing to work with. We love having her on our team. She's still connecting to audio, so don't let that reflect on her amazing interior design skills. That's just technology. And I think that's it for us. You'll hear from her again the rest of the month, and we may come back to her later as well. So with that, I'm going to mute and turn it back over to Rudenberg.
And in fact, she's a Million Cups success story because she joined just as a participant, started attending on a regular basis, came forward and became a presenter and an organizer. So anyone can follow her path. Our meetings are simple, we're polite. We put our phones or our audio on mute. Quick question, Catherine, I apologize. I don't feel we've met. Have you been here before? Or if not, please, either way, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't find, I'm the person that can't find the raise hand, and we moved on very quickly, so I didn't want to interrupt. But yeah, this is my first time. My name is Catherine Hidalgo. I work for a small government contracting company, so we've at least seen a lot of shifts in the past couple months. That's been pretty exciting. Not really. We're shifting into selling like education training. So just looking to connect with folks this week. Really glad to be here. And I apologize, you had one other question. I was invited by Chris Shrum, so I'm excited to see his presentation today.
Excellent. Well, Shrum, you did good. Finally, it's about time. Perfect. So, like I said, we have to be polite, and everyone knows this. Next slide, please. Hey, I'm excited to introduce Chris. He presented October 2nd. It's very, very generous and gracious that he was willing to spend the time and come back again. And with that, Chris, you're on.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the vote of confidence on my good work. And John, if you could just let me know when you're seeing full screen, that would be helpful.
All good.
Good. You're good. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you again for having me here. As John said, I originally presented back in October. It was a very impactful experience for me, so I'm definitely glad to be back. And you know, any of the 249,000 people watching on Facebook Live, I would strongly suggest you take advantage of what this community has to offer. All right, next slide. I figured it out. quick agenda, just going to give you a little bit of background on me, my challenge question, updates on the business, and then just an overview of the business. So for me, I think it's very helpful for people to understand my path to where I am, how I got here. Looking back, my work has always been rooted in having an impact, starting with staffing and recruiting. I loved having the opportunity to have a direct impact on people's lives and the companies that I partnered with. Then in technology, I loved solving complex challenges with cloud and then SaaS products. And now with Schooley Mitchell, I work to have a direct financial impact on small businesses. So my work will result in increased cash flow, increased profitability, improved margins. And my absolute favorite question to ask anyone or any business is, what would having the ability to invest more back into your business do for you? All right. So my challenge question is the same. It is, how can I effectively introduce my relatively unknown service to my target audience while gaining their trust and curiosity to want to know how it will impact their bottom line? That remains the same. It is very common for me to introduce my services and people not be familiar with it or not even know that something like this exists. But the exciting updates that I get to share is I've had 200% client growth since last October, so I've tripled the number of clients that I have. One of my biggest takeaways from my original presentation, the feedback, and then the subsequent one-to-ones that I've had and a lot of conversations with a lot of the folks on this meeting, is Schooley Mitchell today offers 14 cost categories, and I have gotten hyper-focused on 4. And then the 2 biggest are going to be waste and then merchant services. I've joined a couple or attended industry-specific associations and events, specifically around the construction, home remodeling. So like NVBIA and then Pro Mid-Atlantic, to name a couple. And then I have worked very closely with the franchisor, Schooley Mitchell, to develop very specific and very targeted marketing materials that I'm able to use for the benefit of my sales efforts. All right, so just an overview on Schooley Mitchell. We are the expense reduction and optimization experts, largest expense reduction firm in North America. To date, we have over $1 billion in documented savings, having served over 30,000 clients, and we average 28% on our savings across 14 expense categories. The real power of this system, of this franchise model, is the 150 analysts at our corporate office that are working behind the scenes, and they are making everything look so easy. They're doing all the analysis, they're doing all the research, they're reviewing, negotiating with the vendors out there, and identifying those savings. My favorite part of this model is there's absolutely no risk to my clients. There is no upfront cost. And I'm 100% aligned with them on what our goals are. The way I earn revenue for my business is to identify savings. And if I am successful in doing that, then I share the savings with my clients 50-50. If I do not identify savings, my clients have a bill of $0 and 0 cents. And these are the 3 currencies that I operate in: money, time, and security. Money is the obvious one, right? It's, you have more money staying in your business. You're going to have increased profitability, and then you're going to be able to spend, that money that you realize through savings strategically. You can fund anything that you want. Time, I would argue, is the most important currency that I operate in, and Schooley Mitchell is doing all of the work behind the scenes. You, as my client, you focus on what you do best, running your business. Let me do all the work, and all the analysts do all the work behind the scenes. And then, from an internal resource perspective, my clients don't need to spend anything. It's an investment of about 30 minutes is what I need on the front end. And then security, it's a risk-free proposition. There's no upfront costs. I'm going to remove a lot of stress from your business. And then I can help with things like compliance based on what the expense category may be. And then the actual process, right? Like how do we do this? There's 3 steps. I need access to everything, which just means a signed service agreement, letter of authorization, which allows me to, speak to the vendors on your behalf, and then just the invoices. And then step 2, nothing for the client. Just continue to run your business. Again, those 150 or so analysts are doing all of the, review, analysis, and negotiation behind the scenes. And then my favorite, the profitability presentation, step 3. One of 2 things is going to happen at this point. There's only 2 outcomes. 1, I'm successful in identifying savings, or 2, I am not successful in identifying savings. The most important piece with this is excuse me, yeah, even if I identify savings, my clients have the option to move forward and implement those savings or not. I could find you savings and you'd be like, yep, Chris, you know what? I want to keep things status quo. I don't want to, realize those savings. So again, it is a true risk-free model. Okay, and these are the 14 categories that we review today. It will very likely be 16 by ideally the end of this year, TBD. There is a roadmap though, but I mentioned at the onset that I'm hyper focused in 4 categories, and those are the top 4 there on that list: telecom, merchant services, small package shipping, and waste. Double clicking into waste. The companies that I'm very successful with helping out are construction companies, builders, general contractors, specialty trades. Medical waste is huge. If you have a dental office, we average just over 54% savings when it comes to medical waste. Communities, so think property management, HOAs, that kind of thing, and then restaurants have a lot of requirements around their waste and disposal, especially with grease traps, food requirements, depending on city, county, state. Merchant services and payment processing. This one's easy for me. Anyone that's paying over 2.5% transaction fee, I can almost guarantee that I will be able to help them get a lower rate. Most companies, anytime a customer is paying you as a business, you're going to pay both a flat rate and then a fixed percentage on each transaction. And then there's all kinds of just crazy fees that get thrown in there as well. And telecom, this one very straightforward. Anything wireless, anything wireline, and then shipping. So anything under 150 pounds. Looking to connect with e-commerce businesses and then professional services companies here. My competitors. Funny enough, my biggest competitor is the actual customer, and this is all driven by ego. Initially, most folks don't know that the service that I offer exists, and then when they start to think about it, a lot of times it's just I set this up. There's no way I'm paying more than I should, or I definitely have the best rate. And usually it's just an ego thing. There's a lot of other competitors out there that do the similar contingency model that look at a lot of different categories, and then there are some that are specific to one cost category. Those are going to be your telecoms, waste, and payment processing. Go to this last slide here. On the right side, these are just some of the marketing materials that I put together with the franchise. I know they're going to be a little small, but one of them is just a more of an overview of everything I do. The one on the bottom left is specific to construction. And then I just, like to mention that any small business owners, that's who I'm trying to get connected with. And I love connecting with CPAs, bookkeepers, business attorneys, and fractional CFOs. Anyone that's you're going to be working with the same type of client as me. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you again. Happy to share any slides, or anyone has questions or wants me to follow up, just let me know.
Well, round of applause. Like to
See if I
thank
can-
Scott for coming back.
Thank you.
We're now going to start having our Q&A period. And all you have to do is raise your electronic hand. I do see Jen's hand immediately. Scott, you've been through this before. When someone asks a question, give a very short answer so there's a lot of time for people to give you input. Neither defend yourself or go elaborate on all your great ideas. Jen.
Normally I try to wait for other people, but Chris, I'm so excited about your topic. Have you thought about presenting the expenses you can help companies save through the lens of, hey, if you're not sure how tariffs are going to impact your expenses, please contact me and I can assess the expenses in your business so you really understand implications of tariffs.
That is obviously a very relevant question. I have been getting guidance from the franchise. They're putting together whether it's reports or client-facing things right now, but I don't think it's fully developed enough in terms of a point of view from the franchise to have that conversation yet. But I'm sure in the near future.
I might consider just using that as a way to tee off a conversation and generate interest and just learn more about an organization. I probably wouldn't wait to get perfect messaging. I think perfect in this case can be the enemy of good. But using that as a way to help learn more about a business, where are they doing stuff internationally? Where are they purchasing internationally, whether it's uniforms, facility supplies, waste, all the things you're talking about. Just a thought, I think that might get people's attention because a lot of people may still be struggling with what that impact might look like.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Jen.
Tom Shipe.
Morning, everybody. Chris, that was a good presentation. Thank you. I have run across other Schooley Mitchell people, so my question to you is, how many franchises are there in the DMV?
In the DMV, 5, and just shy of 250 across North America.
Okay, what's your territory?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I don't have a territory. I'm not restricted to any any geographic area. Probably should have that in the presentation. Good question.
All right, so I'm hoping you wouldn't go to Philadelphia. I heard a little bit about that this morning.
I
That was a joke, sorry.
Yeah, no, I could anywhere in North America I can service. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll jump in, Scott. Talk to me about the dental world. I have a friend who's had a long time practice in DC that recently sold into, corporate America, private equity, buying into those. Is it possible that reaching those people who are doing it in the dental world would be really a great way? Because they love to save X%.
Yeah, if the question is around connecting with the PE firms, absolutely, because that's the model, right? It's an economies of scale play, and whatever they can save, they're just gonna 3 to 5x it when they go to sell everything off.
So I could hunt down the name. We'll follow up of who the PE firm is relating to my friend. See where it goes.
Love that. Thank you.
John Foster. Tom, you still up? Tom Shipe? No. Okay, John Foster.
Good morning, Chris. Absolutely loved it. And I don't know why everybody in the world isn't using your services. But the thing I was curious about, have you contacted associations and, some of those groups around your targets, as far as doing presentations at the, associations, trade groups, et cetera?
Yeah, I've had the conversations. I don't have anything scheduled to present, but it's definitely an idea. And I can mention specifically hoping to do one in the next couple months with Pro Mid-Atlantic.
Okay.
So, Chris, next question. What type of companies do a lot of small package shipping? You mentioned online stores as an example,
Hmm.
but what are other verticals that ship a lot?
Yeah, the e-commerce ones, those are just because of volume, that's an obvious one, but professional services. So the two triggers are expedited and then some of those special services requiring signatures, that kind of thing. So if you're doing expedited or requiring tracking and signatures, typically can find savings.
Okay. And so an accounting firm of 10 people, is that big enough?
Potentially, absolutely.
Okay. Jen,
Chris, what do you think are well, let me ask it differently. Where do you think engagement with potential customers falls off? Is it one, just getting in front of them, period? Or is it two, once they do meet you, because I agree with John Foster, why wouldn't anybody talk to you? Or is it because it sounds too good to be true, or they're worried about sharing financial data for you to look at? Like, where do you find you get the no the most, I guess?
Yeah, there's probably two places. One is just the initial conversation because it's not much of a sales pitch. It's like, hey, do you want me to do this service, for free for you? Yes. So that just getting that conversation and then there being misconceptions about what I actually need. And a lot of times they think it is the financial statements and typically a lot of relief when it's like, nope, all I need are the invoices. Don't need profit and loss, don't need cash flow, don't need any of that stuff.
excellent. Melinda,
One of the things that might be an opportunity is bookkeepers, accountants, and CPAs who are doing folks' taxes right now. They may see opportunities for their clients to save money and maybe putting alliances together with them, maybe some kind of program where you make them ambassadors or something like that. That might be useful. And then maybe going into specific trade shows where you can be a presenter at the trade show about saving money, whatever industry it's in, and talking about some of the tactics that uh, will help them save money, not promising anything, but in the meantime, using testimonials to show how some of your clients have saved money. And you can even look and see what's coming up at the Washington, D.C. area with, big trade shows coming into town, which will give you a bigger audience, but you're right here in town, as well as things going on in Virginia and Maryland.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. A question, I guess, maybe to the group. Is there any websites or any aggregators that highlight or showcase a lot of these events, or would it have to be, specific to an industry or?
Actually, the city of Washington, D.C., I think it's one SBDC and there are a few other groups. I can get you lists. You can go online and just say list of trade shows in DC, list of trade shows in Northern Virginia, and that will also point you in the right direction. But I'd be happy to do a quick search for you.
Yeah,
Before,
that's a great idea. I
So-
can start mapping out those events.
so-
great ideas. Before I jump to John Foster, Marissa, I saw your hand up at a moment. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, just sorry if I missed it, Chris. Is there support with breaking contracts too when you're looking at all of these expenses and a lot of those are contracted?
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of that's one of the analysts' favorite thing to do is go through not just the existing contract, but all prior contracts, where there could be, verbiage that, um, would allow breaking a contract or what the fees would be, or all that stuff is taken into consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
Oh, thank you, John. Chris, just curious, as far as all the work you've done up to this point, who are the most, who are your best clients? Because I'm just thinking about, from a targeting standpoint, because you got a whole, it seems like everybody could do this, but then the question becomes, for you right now, who would be the very best people for you to target so you can then get your messaging, targeted toward those people?
Yeah, this question is something that I struggled with, and the key date of when I started getting better at this was the first time I came back in October to present. So I shifted my mindset of going after an industry or a type of business. I now lead with the category. The absolute best one for me is waste. The reason why is it's the easiest for the analyst. It's also the quickest turnaround. And then the four, let's say, categories or four industries that I focus on for waste are going to be anything in construction, medical waste, communities, and then restaurants.
So, Chris, you only have so many hours in a day, but another trade association that I believe is active in construction is ASA. I don't know if it's the Association of Subcontractors of America or the American Subcontractors Association, but it's an active association of subcontractors across trades. Dan McGuire, you probably know the best construction uh, trade associations in the DMV also, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry for I had problems logging on and I missed the presentation part. But yes, so there is in construction, it's very big on recycling, and if you're trying to get do something with waste and recycling the waste, it's forget what the term is right now, but they need to recycle and reuse, and it's part of their requirements for contracts. So the biggest one, and that's really more general contractors to do that. ASA, John's correct, American Subcontractors Association is one. That'd be more for like drywall and demo companies you would find through there. But probably the biggest one, or the biggest one, and there's one in Maryland and Virginia, is the Association of Builders and Contractors. And that's all GCs and subs, and you have these green initiatives on recycling. So what exactly are you doing? And I apologize for I just couldn't log on. Thank you, John, for getting me on here, but John Norse. But what are you shipping, or what are you managing exactly?
Yeah, so it's what we do is we look at invoices for the different vendors, the different providers. So with waste, the way I define that is anything that is physically, in one location that needs to be disposed of, removed and taken somewhere else. So absolutely could just be a regular trash, roll-offs especially with the GCs, these demo companies. and just negotiating negotiating the actual rates, the prices with the vendors, and then with the markets.
Yeah, Association of Builders and Contractors is probably where I would go. And then there's also HCCA, Heavy Construction Contractors Association. And those guys do mainly all big site work. And they need to get rid of asphalt. They need to get rid of whatever it is that they're
Yeah.
demoing, to build a pad and get buildings go vertical. So I'd say the two bigger ones would be HCCA, Heavy Construction Contractors Association, and then the Association of Builders and Contractors. Those would be your thing. And ABC, both of those associations are very active, and HCCA, I believe monthly they have dinners and things where you can advertise and present, and they like new people coming in. And then ABC is generally like quarterly. But they also have training opportunities for staff on sales and or getting involved and getting to know people in the industry. So I think those would be your two big ones right there.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
Jen,
fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, Chris, John Foster and I both would probably chime in with this advice, but I think I would consider doing some more digital content creation. So maybe on LinkedIn doing a 10-part series on expenses, but highlight a business owner in each category that you're looking for. Reach out and talk with them about their business. What are they seeing? I know I said tariffs before, but what are they seeing right now? What are some expenses that surprise them that you helped them with? But I think people like hearing from real people. These could be mini case studies, but it could also just be someone that you want to reach out and connect with and give them some visibility. So, it might be an expense question at the very end, and it could just be featuring that business owner. But I would think about whether it's a blog, I prefer video, but doing something like that where you can expand your reach through some digital marketing and through some real examples could be pretty powerful.
Yeah, I like that. And then, Jen, you'd suggest doing it for active clients or existing clients, as well as just to highlight a business that I may be prospecting?
I think so. I think if you said you had 14 categories, that's a lot. That's not a nice even, well, it is an even number, but it's not a nice number. So I would do like top 10 expenses or top 10 things. And yes, reach out to past clients, talk with businesses who you have a relationship with. And maybe there's one or two that you reach out that you just want to highlight. But I think people are interested in conversations and dialogue and learning about industries. And so you can frame it as featuring the business owner and then really also tie in how have you helped them in the past, for example.
Yeah.
Cheryl.
I really like that idea. I think that connecting the success that other clients have had, I think that really tying the impact that you have to the fact that you're helping them contain some expenses correlates to increased margins. And I think having people talking about the expense side sounds a little dry. Connecting it to the fact that you help them increase their profit margin is something that really gets the attention of people on the other side of the equation. And I think maybe 10 is too many, maybe focusing on 3 and just trying to get a really succinct 30-second video pop where really what you're offering that customer is a chance to showcase their business, but also with the tail end of, and because I save money through Schooley Mitchell on this, improve my margins, could reinvest in my business, what they got to do with their business because they use your service effectively. The other thing that I was curious about, I know you and I met and we were talking about focusing on connecting with people that had more recently moved into a senior accounting or finance role because they were new at their companies. One of the things, and maybe I was distracted, that I didn't hear is what you've been applying from the first meeting that has worked. Because instead of reinventing the wheel, how do you do more of the things that have already proven to be effective?
Yeah, I think the biggest change or shift that I've had is leading with the actual cost category and keeping it very focused. I remember the conversation we had, especially about setting up, like a LinkedIn search or people enroll less than 6 months. Interestingly, I found that a lot of those folks didn't want help. It's kind of hey, I'm here, I'm new, it's my project. This is why they hired me. That kind of how those conversations went. But on paper, I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. So,
Sometimes it's hard to know what statistic. Dan, I'll get you in a minute. I got Jen first, but that incident doesn't mean it won't work the next time. If you were 0 for 10, then maybe it's a bad strat. It's hard to know. Jen, then Dan.
Chris, I don't know if you work with a lot of nonprofits, but I know right now they're struggling with bringing in revenue. I love Cheryl's point about how do you reframe it as profit, but I think potentially doing a presentation or providing content, like with the Community Foundation of Northern Virginia, who has 400 nonprofits. Like, how do you make it about a group that's struggling right now? That could be a blog, it could be a video on its own, but I think nonprofits might be an interesting sector to consider. It may not be as big as other sectors, but they still have expenses and they're definitely worrying about that right now.
Good point. Dan.
Yeah.
so going back to the contractors and construction waste and things like that, if you join the Association of Builders and Contractors, you'll see the larger GCs like Hit Contracting is in Fairfax. And then you could go to those contractors specifically and go into their offices and set up meetings.
That's
And they would, because they have to meet the requirements, and they want their subs. If they can help their subs, like Hit's a very good general contractor. We did a lot of work with them, and they look out for their subs and will give them an edge and somebody who can perform, do a good job at a better price. So that's one thing. Now, what about landscape waste and things like that? Do you do anything with that?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I've got a tenant here at my building. I'm located in the city of Fairfax and Greenscape, and they've got a roll-off contractor that they're not happy with at all.
There you go.
So you could come contact them, and because they're like, hey, we call to get a can picked up, and it's like a week later, and they're dumping on the side of the can, and they're not efficient, and things like that. So I would think landscaping companies as well who have a yard, right, and they bring their stuff back to the yard because it's expensive to send their men to the dump. That's more time. So if there's a can on site, then they're going to dump there. So there's one client right here in my building, and I'll be glad to introduce you to them. They're really good folks, and they're up and down the East Coast. They're a pretty big company.
Man, there's your ticket.
I appreciate
Mr.
that,
Shrum.
Dan. Thank you.
I got Mr. Feder, then John Norse.
Hey, good morning. Nice presentation. Thank you. I was going to make a couple recommendations, but people beat me to it. I like Jen's about the digital marketing and having a content strategy. As a digital marketer myself, that was going to be one of my recommendations. During your presentation, you have a lot of facts about this is what we do, expense reduction. We got 14 areas. What really perked up were the headlines you mentioned. I can save you 54% on your medical waste. Boom, that caught my attention. All of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, that's a big number. If you're over 2% on a transaction fee for your credit card, you need to talk to me. That caught my attention. The ability to save on wireless, okay. And then if you're shipping anything $150, I can help you there too. The question I have is maybe one of, have you considered, and I don't know the business model and what you're limited to, but have you considered co-opetition? What I mean by that is, well, I do a lot of networking and I probably meet 30 or 40 business owners a week, one-on-one. And I meet a lot of people in your space. When you say that, don't have any competition, you really do. I'm meeting with people that do merchant processing. I'm dealing with people that are specialized in expense reduction, people that look at your wireless bill. The question is, do you guys do anything better than everybody else? Out of those 14 things, I'll bet you the guys that I'm meeting don't have 14 different solutions. They're focused on the merchant processing. They're focused on the wireless. They don't maybe look at everything like you do. So I wonder if you could maybe, and I do this with other marketing and ad agencies, I help fill their gaps where they don't have that service or that solution. So have you thought about maybe co-opetition, if that's a loose word?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have a couple relationships, specifically one with someone that does telecom, just exclusively telecom, and then someone that exclusively does merchant services and payment processing. Frankly, they are going to be better at it because they're only, doing one category. I, offer 14 today, and that number is just going to keep going up. So I'm not going to suggest that, I'm going to be better at doing merchant services than someone that exclusively does that. But
you guys might be better at optimizing the waste expense, and that's something they don't touch.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have if there's a way to get part of that referral. Say, hey, now while we're at it, talking about your wireless, have you thought about your waste? And maybe they bring you into the conversation. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I set the relationships up where it's like, hey, if I bring you in, I'm not going to look at telecom. You're going to look at telecom. And then with your clients, I'll look at the other categories that are applicable. So yeah, good question, and definitely happens.
Thank you to John Norse. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Hey, Chris, are you finding you're having more trouble finding prospects or closing prospects, or both? I don't know. I mean,
loaded question. I guess I always want more clients, right?
But I'm saying, are you getting in front of enough people and they're just not using your services, or you're just not getting in front of enough people?
I would say I'm not getting in front of enough people.
Okay. Yeah, then there were some good, because my thing was, you're a business, I'm a small business owner, and the first thing before I do business with anybody, because obviously I'm very protective, is trust. And I don't, I know statistics are fine and all this, but trust is the number one thing. And without an emphasis on trust, I'm never going to do business with anyone. I have to be comfortable with them. I mean, there's 3 characteristics that I feel you do business with. People are likable, they're knowledgeable, and you trust them. And in your business, I think trust is the 800-pound gorilla. And I don't know how much time you guys spend on it, but I'm not going to open up my books to any capacity unless I know I'm firmly entrenched where I have a trust factor with those people. And, obviously never gone through your process, but that's where I would be heavily emphasizing. And I think your messaging should be, I'm not a social media person, but I think your messaging should be about trust at the end of the day. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, John. And in my challenge question, one of the things is how do I build that trust faster on the front end? Because they have to feel comfortable working with me. 100%. You're right.
Well, I believe you stated they don't need to open their kimono. You don't need to look at everything. You're just looking at invoices. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. I trust you more if I don't need to open the kimono. You don't need to look at my books. You could just look at the invoices. That's maybe takes that off the table a little bit.
It does. It absolutely does. When the customers realize it is just the invoices, and then, maybe depending on the category, a contract related to the invoice, but there still is absolutely still some hesitancy with certain folks. 100%.
Good point.
Okay, I'm gonna, Cheryl, your hand is up again, maybe it didn't come down. Okay, and Jen, were you up? Because we do probably have to move to wrapping. Hey, here's one idea, Chris, and listening. What if you went to ABC, the builders and contractors, and said, on behalf of the association, I will do an analysis of these areas to save the small shipping. Just take that. I don't know how much associations create waste like their contractor clients, but if you went in, and I don't know if you have to do it for free or 25% of the savings, because you want to be a special sponsor of ABC and you want to earn your dues, if you will, that you come away being a win-win. You come away saving the association oodles of money. You're their hero. They have every reason to promote you to their constituents, which happen to be builders and contractors. Just a thought. Jen?
Last thought before I kick it back to John for the final question. Chris, I find if I'm trying to connect with people and increase the trust factor immediately, it has to be done, I think, through having a wing person go with you to events, support you, endorse you, and connect you with very specific people. I think that's one accelerated, easy way to do it, similar to what John Merce was saying. I think if there are some of these events and groups that you want to attend, you have to find a person who's in the group and respected and will bring you in with them. It's just my 2 cents. So with that, I'm going to kick it back to John Rudenberg to kick off our final question.
Absolutely. So, Chris, again, congratulations. Thank you so much. What else can our 1 Million Cups community help you with today?
Yeah, I have a lot of takeaways, fantastic recommendations. My ask would be that, I will be following up with the folks, especially around the builders and construction associations, and making those connections.
Excellent. Thank you again. So, we need presenters. Next week could be you, or a friend of yours, or perhaps you know somebody who just got riffed by our federal government and all along or for the last 2 years has had a side hustle that they're now going to formalize. We'd be a great place for them to introduce their service or product and seek guidance from the best darn people in America who are in the room today. So take a moment. Here is a set of links about upcoming events. Hopefully one of the other organizers will pop it into the chat as well. But engage. Next slide, please. So here's our schedule. As you can see, April 16th, next week, we're open. And in fact, the following weeks. That's a struggle for us organizers. Please think about folks you know. Let's find our next Chris Shrum. Please go back a second, April 22nd, there we have a little spring networking group at MEC. It'll be a combined MEC, 1MC and BNI co-hosting. Mark that on your calendars. And then, of course, next slide, please. Grab our links and share the word. To our newest folks, I hope you believe we're real. I hired Chris Shrum. He's an actor actually from Hollywood. But man, that guy's out there every day and he's come back. So think about the power of 1 million cups. Next slide, please. If you'd like, be an organizer. Let one of the organizers know you want to help. Or maybe you don't want to be an organizer, but you'd like to help. Let us know. We have roles that you can fill. Next slide. Great. We have a couple of minutes. Let's stick around, hang out, make sure you put your information in the chat. And thank you so much for being here. You could have done 100 different things this morning at 9 a.m., and you chose to be at 1MillionCups, and that's appreciated. So thank you. The end.